What is up, royals? Welcome back to my channel. It has been a whole month since I've sat in front of the camera and filmed something, and it feels so good to be back. If you are new to my channel, I just had a little baby boy a month ago, and yeah, he's been giving me a run for my money. So for the past month I've been MIA. I haven't been able to do anything. And today I just wanted to come on here and give you the tea on my emergency delivery. I had a C-section delivery. This is my first child, and I just wanted to give you the backstory and insert some clips of the footage that I filmed myself because the timing of the birth was super unexpected and it was just all over the place. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you don't have a drink or a snack, you probably should pause this video and go get one, because I'm giving you all the scoop, so it might take a little time. So get comfortable, get relaxed, get cozy, do whatever you gotta do, because we're jumping right into it. Okay, if you haven't watched my previous video, make sure you go and watch that video after you check this one out, because that video is gonna have more of the clips that I'm talking about in this video. If you want to see that footage, make sure you go check that video out right after you watch this one. I got my coffee, I got my Yeti cup, y'all know I love this cup, and let's go. So we're gonna start from the day that I was supposed to be induced. If I didn't go into labor on my own, I was gonna be induced, and we were gonna go from there. So I went to my doctor's appointment, and he told me, he was like, okay, the baby is a little bigger than we expected, so if you don't go into labor, we're gonna induce you on the 27th of January, okay? 27th of January, I was going to be induced. The next day, which was supposed to be the 28th, I was going to deliver Adonis. So 27th induction, 28th delivery. That was the plan. That was the plan. Okay, so that day that I went to the doctor's office, I didn't have any problems or whatever. I was still running my errands as usual, doing my normal things. I was a little slower, but there was nothing major going on that was telling me that I could be going into labor soon. So I was just doing my daily things or whatever. So the next day after my doctor's appointment, that night, I think I was running a lot of errands that day, and I was hurting a little bit. I'm not gonna say I wasn't hurting at all. I was hurting a little bit because I was doing a lot of walking. So that night, I was washing clothes and stuff. I was in my room, and I laid down on the bed because I was a little tired from that day, and I was just laying there on my phone, and I kept feeling my stomach contracting. I was having like cramps, and I was just like, I don't know what that could be. I don't know why my stomach's cramping. So I just ignored it or whatever. And this was at around like 10 o'clock at night, and I just kept getting these like tightenings in my stomach, and I was just like, what in the world? I'm not about to start or anything. And I didn't even think, it did not click, the light bulb did not go off in my brain that this could be contractions. I could be going into labor. And I was just like, Tonetra, are you having contractions? And I was like, I could be. So I was like, I think I'm having contractions. Oh my gosh. So I lay there for a little bit longer. I lay there for about 10 more minutes, and they just kept coming. My stomach just kept tightening and tightening, and I was like, okay, I think this is contractions. So I got on my phone and I pulled up my little timer and I started timing it. And I timed it for about 30 minutes, and the contractions just kept coming, and I was like, okay, these are contractions for sure. So they were about, I would say they were about 8 to 5 minutes apart, in between there, and I was like, okay, that's pretty consistent. Let me just keep track of them. So I was keeping track of them, and I told babe, I was like, I think I'm having contractions, and they don't seem to be stopping. I don't think they're going anywhere. And I was like, I told him, I was just like, well, I'll keep track of them for a little while and I'll let you know what happens, because he was going to sleep by this time. By this time it was like 11 o'clock. So at 12 o'clock, I was for sure these were contractions. It could be labor. So I text my sister, Tonetra, she's also pregnant. And I said, I am having contractions. And she was like, I am too. Lord. I was like, what? How are you? I said, you're having contractions right now? And she said, yes, I'm having contractions right now. I was like, oh my goodness. Is this really happening on the same day at the same time right now? It was. So, yeah, I texted her and I told her that, and she was like, well, just keep track of them. She was like, I'm keeping track of mine with this little app. So I downloaded the app that she had told me about or whatever, and I was keeping track of them, and they were consistent. So I called my mom also, and she was like, yeah, just keep track of them for a few hours. So I timed these contractions for about 2 hours straight, consistent. They were kind of they were still in between, I would say 7 to 5 minutes going further along. And at that point I was like, okay, I have nothing packed. This is unplanned. I still thought I had like a week left to get ready for baby and do everything that I needed to do. I had to wash all the baby's clothes. I had to pack my suitcase. I had 2 suitcases. I'm a new mom. I barely even looked up any videos on what to pack for the hospital because I've been so busy that I just ain't had time to do anything. I'm working, like I have stuff going on. So I had to pack all of that stuff, contracting, and I was like, this baby, I can already tell this baby is gonna come out today. It was about, so I'm packing all my stuff up or whatever. It's about 3 in the morning. I have not slept since the night before. So I've just been up all night, up all day, doing stuff. And I was like, okay, got everything packed, got everything ready to go. I'll insert a clip of what I recorded during that time when I was contracting and everything, because I was like, okay, this might be the last time that you guys see me without this pregnant belly. So let me turn on the camera. Okay, so today's Tuesday. It's about, I think it's almost going on 2, and I don't know. I was just laying in bed and I felt my stomach getting tight like every so often. I was like, this is weird. Kind of like cramping. And I didn't think anything of it because, I don't know. I was just like, oh, I still have a week. I went to a doctor's appointment yesterday at around 2, and he said he was going to induce me on the 27th. He said he's going to induce me on the 27th, and no, not induce. He's going to put me in the hospital on the 27th, and then he's going to induce me on the 28th. But
I'm having like consistent contractions. So they're coming like, I would say every 8 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes. And they're lasting about 1 minute. So I'm a little bit nervous. I plan on getting all my stuff ready this week because I know I'm a little late on things, but I guess babe's gonna have to get up and wash some of these clothes for me and get this hospital bag ready because I don't know if these are gonna stop. I don't feel like they're gonna stop. Oh my goodness. I didn't think I was gonna go into labor on my own at all. But I just might. We might have Adonis soon. I will keep you guys updated. If this recording is a little it's because I'm on my cell phone, so I'm trying to be quiet. I told babe, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna keep track of them for about 2 hours. Oh, I called my mom. She was like, yeah, just keep track of them. And I was like, okay. But you know me. I was like, I gotta get up and get some of this stuff ready. But yeah, so I've been keeping track for about 2 hours and they're still the same. They haven't sped up. They haven't gotten longer, so they're still the same. And we'll see what happens. Ooh, baby Adonis is probably on his way. Alright, you guys. This might be my last little belly shot at home. Who knows? Before he gets here, he's been in there moving around quite a lot, so I think that's a good sign.
Okay, so that's what happened. Got our bags packed and I woke up babe and I was like, okay, we have to go to the hospital. At this time it was about 6 o'clock. He got my stuff in the car, we got packed up and we dipped out.
Why do you guys be looking like this when it's time for the baby in the morning?
Like what?
I'm tired. We are headed to the hospital, so I'm hoping that this is the real deal. It feels like it. I know myself pretty well. You ready for your baby boy to get here? No. Yeah. Me too. Get him out.
We made it to the hospital. All of that took about an hour or so. We made it to the hospital, we got checked in, and they were like, when I got up there, they were like, okay, well, let me track your contractions. So they put me in like this little uncomfortable holding pregnancy area where they track your contractions, and they track them for about an hour. So I was there at 8, they tracked them till 9, and they were like, okay, we're going to check your dilation. And I was like, okay. This whole time I'm contracting, I'm really hurting and I'm moaning, and I'm just like, okay, this baby is coming. So they're like, okay, we're going to check your dilation. They checked me, I'm at 1 centimeter dilated. I was like, okay, this is weird. I was just like, for this type of contractions, 1 centimeter dilated, I don't know. So they were like, in order to admit you, you have to be at least 6 centimeters dilated. And I was like, okay, well, I'm nowhere near 6, but I am feeling these contractions, and they're pretty rough. So what do y'all expect me to do? They were like, if you're not dilated, we cannot admit you. You're gonna have to go home and continue the process. And I said, continue what process at home? Not with these labor pains. Do you see the chart? Do you see the pains? Y'all see them. Y'all trying to ignore them, but you see them. So they called my doctor, whatever. By this time it was 9. They called him in, and he came up, and he came in the room or whatever, and he was like, so what's going on? And I was like, I'm going into labor, that's what's going on. And he was like, but this wasn't the plan. He was like, the plan was we're going to induce you on the 27th and you're gonna have the baby on the 28th. That's what's going on. And I said, how, when I'm in labor right now? Did I tell y'all that my doctor is a male? He's a male. Nothing against men, but I don't think that y'all have ever had a child or that y'all have ever felt contractions. So when he was like, that wasn't the plan and that I was supposed to be induced on the 27th, I said, I'm sitting here contracting. So how am I gonna go back home and stop these contractions and have the baby on the 27th? The date was the 21st. So all this is happening on the 21st of January. So yeah, he was like, okay, well, let's check your dilation or whatever. He was like, you're only 1 centimeter dilated. He was like, I'm not gonna admit you. And I was like, okay. I said, now you're playing. Like, you can't be serious. So I'm basically crying at this point because the contractions were so tough. And I was just like, how can I go home? How are y'all gonna try to send me home? So at that point he left, and the nurse came in, and she was like, well, there's not much we can do or whatever. She was like, we can sit here and we can watch your contractions for another hour and see what happens. And I said, please, because I can't go home like this. How am I gonna go home like this? How? And she was just like, okay, so we'll watch you for another hour and see what happens. They watched me for another hour. Contractions, still contracting every 5 to 7 minutes, pretty much, in excruciating pain. Hour goes by, they check me again. I'm still at 1 centimeter dilated. And I'm like, okay. I've been contracting since 10 o'clock last night. Since 10 last night. So they're like, okay, well, there's nothing else we can do. We're gonna have to discharge you. And I refused. I refused to be discharged in this much pain. So they were like, okay. They were like, we're gonna let you, can you get up and walk? Can you get up and do laps around the hospital and try to get this dilation started, get labor kicking? And I was like, I can do what I can, yeah, but I'm not going anywhere. No, I'm not. So that's what I did. I got up and I waddled around the hospital with this footage of this action right here, waddling around the hospital, them torturing me. By this time my family had got there, and my mom was there, and she was like, so the doctor's not trying to do anything, like he just doesn't care? She was furious. She was like, okay, this is ridiculous. She was like, you do not have people sitting up here in pain, labor pains, and you're just not trying to do anything about it. You're trying to send her back home. So at that point, my whole family was up there because they were trying to send me home or whatever, and they were coming to see if I was gonna have the baby, and I was just like, they're trying to send me home, I don't know what to do or whatever. So I walked around the hospital. If you want to see this footage, make sure you go and watch the first video that I just posted. I'll leave it down in the description box. I walk around the hospital, I am just in pain or whatever, and after that I go back in, they check me again, I'm still not dilated, and I'm just like, I cannot go anywhere. Where am I going? So they decide to put me in an actual laboring room, and I was like, thank you, because y'all see what's going on. Like, we're not gonna play these games. So they put me in a labor room, and they hooked me up and everything. They're saying that I'm dehydrated, and I was like, I'm sure I am, because I've been here all day, I haven't drank anything, these contractions hurt so bad that I can't even eat barely, drink barely. So they put me on an IV and hooked me up to the machine and started watching my contractions again. And at this point I was just like, okay, the baby is coming. Hopefully, with these type of contractions, the baby should be coming. So I'm laying there in the bed. I lay there for about 2 hours. My family's there, they're rubbing my back, they're talking to me, they're trying to keep me not so focused on the labor pains. And I had a whole team of nurses. When I tell you, this whole team of nurses, it was like, I would say it was like 4 or 5 nurses. They were so shitty. They were the worst nurses that I have ever come across. They were so shitty. They did not care about what I was going through. They did not care about my pain. They did not care what was going to happen. I kept asking them, can I at least get an epidural started so that I don't have to sit here in pain and I can actually relax and wait for myself and wait to dilate? And they were just like, well, Dr. so-and-so is not going to allow us to do that. No, he's not going to let us. No, he's not going to let us do it. No. And I was just like, okay, so how can you help me? Because y'all act like y'all ain't trying to help me at all. So we're just like, okay. And they're like, we cannot induce you. They just popped up and was like, we can't induce you. And I was like, I never asked to be induced. I didn't want to be induced. Obviously I'm going into labor right now if I'm having these contractions. So they were like, yeah, it's against the law or whatever. We can't induce you. We can't do anything like that. And I was like, I didn't ask to be induced. I'm asking for an epidural for pain. So they were like, no induction. It's against the law, yada, yada, yada. And I was just like, okay. So when is enough enough? When do you say, okay, we need to get her something for pain because she obviously, it's unbearable? And they were just like, we can't do anything. And I was just like, what kind of is this? I have never heard anything like this. When you come to an emergency room, when you come to a hospital, that they just can't do nothing for you whatsoever. They didn't do anything for me. Nothing. So they were like, well, you're not dilating. I was sitting on the machine another 2 hours. They're like, you're not dilating. I'm in the room, I'm in the nightgown, I'm laying in the bed, and they're like, you're gonna have to go home or whatever. So basically they're kicking me out of the hospital at this point. And I'm just like, okay. I was like, okay, I'm not even finna play with y'all. I'm not, because y'all will end up getting sued messing with me. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up. It took everything in me to get up and put my clothes back on and get my bags packed and leave the hospital. We also have this footage in the last video, so make sure you check it out. So I got up, I got my bags packed, and I left the hospital in excruciating pain. When I tell you, the baby, I thought the baby was supposed to be coming out, and I already knew. I kind of felt like something was wrong. I was just like, I feel the contractions, they're there, but the baby is just sitting here in a weird position. And I was just like, is he face down or is he like breech? And I couldn't figure it out, but I just felt like something was not, I just felt like something just wasn't right. Like I didn't feel him going down. I didn't feel any pressure down there. I just felt like he was just stagnant, like he was stuck. And I was just like, this isn't good, because I'm just going to be contracting all night, all day, or whatever. So when I was leaving the hospital, they were like, well, you can come back for this reason, and this reason, but you can't come back because you're contracting this much. But you can come back if you get a fever, or if you do this, or if you do that. And I was just like, okay, let's just get out my face. I was ready to slap somebody by this point. So I'm leaving the hospital. I'm limping out the hospital, barely getting out the hospital. I walked out the hospital because they wanted me to walk. And I was just like, okay, this is just too much. The car ride home, when I tell you, that was the hardest car ride home I have ever had. Having these contractions every 5 minutes, I was just like, the car ride home, every contraction, I was having like an outer body experience. Like the contractions were so bad that Mike literally had to coach me through every single contraction. And I was just like, I was just out of it. At this point, I was delirious, and I was just like, how could they send me home like this? Like, I don't understand. It was so terrible. When I tell you, he was like, I don't know how they could do this. I don't know how this is even, it can even be possible. So we make it home. Before I left the hospital, they were like, well, you can take some Tylenol to try to relieve the contractions. I said, what the Tylenol? Are you serious right now? Tylenol barely gets rid of Tylenol barely gets rid of a fever. Tylenol barely gets rid of period cramps. Like, and y'all are gonna tell me to take some Tylenol for labor pains? Going into labor? So they're like, take Tylenol. I don't even think I took Tylenol, because that just wasn't, I couldn't even take them seriously. Once I got home, I got in the bathtub, filled it up with warm water, and I just laid in there and was just out of it. I was just out of it. Like, I was just laying in the tub almost like I was just unconscious, because of these labor pains were so strong. Like, I had been contracting since 10 o'clock that night, and it was now, I got home at around 4 or 5 o'clock, and I had been contracting every 5 minutes up to that point. So I was delirious. I was just almost like passed out, literally. Like, I could barely even comprehend anything of what was going on. The pains were so bad. Like, when I tell you my stomach was going like this every contraction, I could just feel my stomach just squeezing Adonis, and I was just like, this can't be good. Like, it just can't. So after that, I got out the bathtub or whatever, and I lay down. I try to sleep. They were like, just relax, just try to sleep. How? So I'm trying to sleep. I'm in the rocking chair. I'm rocking. I'm delirious. I'm not even on the planet anymore at this point. I'm not even here no more. Like, I ain't hearing nobody. I barely am alive at this point, you guys. Like, I am barely surviving. So, rocking in the chair, and I'm just like, okay, still going through it. Lay down, try to sleep, still going through it, still going through all the pains. By 12 o'clock that night, I was like, forget this. I'm not finna play with y'all. I said, Mike, he was asleep. Wake up, get my bags back packed. We're going back to the hospital. I called my mom. I said, we're going back to the hospital. She called the doctor. She's like, we're going back up to this hospital and y'all better do something for my child. She was like, this is barbaric. I have never heard of anything like this. She was like, y'all better get her some help once she gets up to the hospital or it's gonna be y'all's. And I was just like, you better tell him, Mom, because let me tell him, everybody's getting cussed out. So we get up to the hospital that night. It's 11:30 and I wobble up to the desk and I tell the woman, I said, I have come up here already today. I sat up here till 4 o'clock contracting all day. I said, somebody needs to help me. I said, I am in labor. And she was like, this was a whole different staff from the staff that morning. And she was like, okay, I need you to fill out this paperwork or whatever. The same paperwork I filled out. It was the same process over again. So, except she knew that this was serious. She was like, okay, this woman is in labor or whatever. And I was telling her, I was like, I haven't dilated, but I am in labor. I was like, I need help. So they immediately put me into a labor room. They got me hooked up to IVs or whatever. I was like, I'm dehydrated. I was like, I can't keep anything down. I was throwing up. I forgot that part. I was throwing up at home, throwing up my stomach. You know when your stomach, when you haven't eaten anything and you just have green, it's just like green stuff or lime green stuff. Throwing up. They were like, okay, we're hooking her up to an IV. We're getting her, seeing where her contractions are at. When they hooked me up, when they put the thing on my stomach, my contractions were off the charts. Off the charts. They were like, okay, she needs an epidural. They did not call a doctor. They didn't do shit. They said she's getting an epidural right now. This team, when I tell you this team was on their shit, this night team, this night crew, they saved my life. So I had to do the paperwork or whatever for the epidural, but yeah, they saved my life. They got me started for the epidural. They put me in the bed. They hooked me up to an IV. They got me hydrated. I still hadn't got the epidural at this point, but I was laying in the bed and I was contracting so hard that I sat up and I vomited so hard that they lost the baby's heartbeat. They were like, because I guess I sat up in a weird position. I don't know what it was, but they lost the baby's heartbeat. When I tell you, the look on their faces, because she was watching a little chart or whatever, because she was monitoring the baby or whatever, and everybody rushed in the room and they were like, I was like, is the baby okay or whatever? And they were like, we lost the baby's heartbeat. She was just being honest. She had to be completely honest with me. She said, we lost the baby's heartbeat. You need to lay back and we need to position you around so that we can find this baby's heartbeat or whatever. So that was a scare. They were just like, okay. Like the room was just silent and serious, and I was just like, please Lord, please, 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 I've come too far to lose my baby right now. So they flip me over or whatever. It's a whole rush thing, but it's a serious, like, just intense moment. I was just like, Lord, I was just praying to God like that my child was okay. So they're positioning the thing. They're like, okay. They're like, his heartbeat came back up, and they sat there for a little while and they were just like, okay, relax, we're gonna need you to breathe, we're gonna need you to relax or whatever. We know these contractions are killing you, but the epidural is coming. So after that, I was just like, okay, I have to breathe for my child because I'm running out of breath. They put me on oxygen. They were just like, breathe, we need you to breathe. And I was like, okay. So epidural ended up coming. The woman who did my epidural did an amazing job, and it numbed me from, I don't remember if it was from here. No, it was from like my torso down. Couldn't feel my legs or whatever, and it was great. After that, I couldn't feel anything. At this time, I had got to the hospital at around 11:30. By this time, I had got the epidural and everything. It was about 2:30 in the morning, and I was relaxed. They had got me relaxed, got me under control, made sure that I was okay. When I tell you this team was A1, they were looking out for me. They got me relaxed and everything, and they were like, you need to sleep. They were like, you haven't been asleep since yesterday night. They were like, you need to sleep for this baby and for yourself. And I was just like, I can't sleep after you just lost the heartbeat. After I just lost the baby's heartbeat, how am I gonna sleep? So I ended up just staying up all night, because I honestly felt like if I were to go to sleep, I probably would have died. Like, this labor experience just gave me a whole new respect for labor in general and what women go through, and how the cases of women passing away during child labor is possible. Because there was one point where I felt like I was gonna pass out before I got the epidural, and my parents had got there by this time, and they were just looking at me and they were like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. But they could see my eyes were just like drifting off because of the pain that I was going through, and I had been laboring for so long that it was just, I couldn't even barely stay awake anymore. I was just exhausted. My body just could not take anymore. But back to where we were. It was 2:30 in the morning. They were like, get some sleep. They turned out all the lights. Mike was asleep on the couch, and I didn't sleep because I didn't trust myself that if I fell asleep that, I don't know, I just didn't trust it. But I was praying, and I did have faith that me and the baby would make it through. So we got through the night, and they wake me up at around 6:30. And they come in and they check my dilation and everything, and they're like, you're only dilated to a 3 or whatever. And they're checking the charts on the side. I could see the little computers or whatever on the side, and they're checking the charts. And even though I'm not feeling any contractions, my body was still contracting. So they were looking at the charts or whatever, and they were looking, and they were just like, every time you have a super strong contraction, the baby's heart rate drops dramatically. And when they told me that, I was just, my heart just dropped. So from that point on, I had anxiety. I was already on oxygen all night. They tried to take me off oxygen during the night. When they took me off, I wasn't getting enough oxygen for the baby. So they put me back on. When they told me that again, my anxiety went through the roof. I was just like, get the baby out, get him out. So a woman comes in, a team comes in, and they're like, okay, they're like, the baby's heart rate has been dropping, and we're gonna have to do an emergency C-section. So we're gonna do that at 7:30. At this point, it was 7 o'clock. They were doing this C-section in 30 minutes. Mind you, I had never, ever had any type of major surgery or anything like that. I had never been put under anesthesia or anything. So this was major for me. I was just like, and my number one fear is being put to sleep to go to surgery. That is my number one fear. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. It just scares me to the core. So when they told me that, I could barely even breathe at that point. I was just like, oh my goodness. Now we went through all of this. Y'all didn't want to admit me yesterday because y'all didn't believe me that I was having this much pain. Y'all didn't believe my contractions, and now I have to have an emergency C-section because the baby's heart rate is dropping because of the contractions are so strong. And it was just a mess. And it was very emotional, and my whole family was already at the hospital by that time. I had so much support, but people were furious that I had to get a C-section for my first child. Like, my parents were furious. My dad wanted to choke the doctor. Like, he was so upset, and I was upset too, but I wasn't gonna worry about it too much because I was just more worried about getting the baby out and making sure that he was healthy and he was okay. So that's what I was worried about. I was just like, get him out or whatever. So when they told me that at 7, they were trying to talk to me and prolong the process because I guess my doctor hadn't arrived yet. So they were trying to talk to me and stuff. And I was just like, can y'all get the baby out? Y'all know his heart rate keeps dropping. Like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to sit up and talk to y'all or whatever. I'm sorry, but my child's life is on the line. Get him out. So they were like, he's coming, he's on his way. We're gonna get you into the surgery room as soon as possible. So he ended up coming at like 8:30. That whole time I was just anxious and had anxiety, and I was just on like, I was just snapping like, don't tell me anything. It's me and my child right now. Our lives are on the line. So they rushed me into the surgery area. Well, they numb me from here down before I go in there, so I can't feel my body. That's what had me scared also. Like, I cannot feel my entire body. Like, I'm numb. My arms are numb. And that, when they numbed my body, like my chest area and everything, that took a toll on my breathing as well. So I was having to breathe like my body was heavy on my lungs, I guess. So it was making it even harder to breathe. And I was just like, please just get him out. Like, I can barely breathe myself. Like, I'm gonna end up passing out, and this is not gonna be good. Like, it's just not. Just get us to where we need to go and get it done. So that was rough, just being under that anesthesia and just having all that pressure on me, and just knowing that I have to breathe was hard. So we get back into the surgery room. They have lights everywhere, and they cover me, and they're like, okay, Tonetra, can you feel this? Can you feel this? Do you feel this pressure? And I was like, yeah, or whatever. Mike is here by my side, and we're just like, let's get this baby into the world. And I guess they cut me open and pulled Adonis out, and I heard him cry. And when I heard that cry, you guys, when I tell you that was just hearing him cry was just the best sound in the world. And I was just so happy because I had went through so much pain, like so much pain. So Mike went over there and got some video footage and some pictures, and then they brought him over, and he looked just like me when he came out. Now he looks like his dad, but when he was first born, he looked just like me. And he was just the cutest thing. He had a full head of hair, and I'll insert some footage of this as well. He had a full head of freaking hair, and it was just curly, and he was the cutest. So yeah, they wheeled me into another room and they brought me the baby, and I immediately started breastfeeding. This is also in the previous video that I just recorded, so make sure you go check that one out after you watch this. I started breastfeeding. My family came in, and it was just, everything was great from there. Like, everything was great from there. They did an amazing job on the surgery and everything, and it just, everything went smooth from there on out. I got into my room and got relaxed with baby and babe, and ate. I didn't really get any sleep. I didn't see that coming, but the next day my family came and they came and saw me. So after Adonis came out, I got to record after that. So I'll just show you guys the footage that I have from after the birth. Oh, they gave me some pain medicine. And yeah. Whew. I am in pain, but it's not unbearable. And I'm happy. Like 3 days straight until this morning, so. This is the room. This is what it's looking like. Suitcases. Babe's bed. Got all my stuff over there. I brought all my toiletries, my purse, this suitcase, that suitcase, and I haven't even gotten to anything. So yeah. Okay, so now they have me walking so that I can get some of this gas out of my stomach. So me and baby are just walking down the hall and back. That's pretty much it. I gotta do this like 4 times. So it feels good to be up. Let me get him. Thank you. Alright, so this is our last night. Well, we're not spending the night. We're about to head home. It is 8 o'clock. I'm waiting for babe to come and pick us up. But he's right here. He just ate. So we're gonna put him on some clothes just to take him home. We didn't really get a chance to get all the cute pictures and the cute clothes. So I'll just do that at home because we were trying to teach him how to feed for the most part, and it was just a lot of knowledge packed into these 2 almost 3 days. So yeah, we're gonna get him on home.
instructions. Okay. And then I'm going to take off his little security tag. Does he have that still on there? Yeah, so now I have to run into the nursery briefly to that little instrument thing to take that off. Okay. And then I can put it on a little Velcro thing until you leave. Okay, that'll be good.
Show y'all all the stuff that I brought. I brought my purse. I brought like a mini suitcase bag, and then I brought a mini suitcase. And when I tell y'all, oh, this is all the stuff that I got from the hospital. I did not open any of these bags whatsoever except to get out my toothpaste. I didn't use anything, like nothing. So first time moms, do not go crazy trying to get things for the hospital because they have everything here and you're not even gonna have time. You barely have time to brush your teeth. So I did not have time to do makeup. I wouldn't say a normal pregnancy, so it was a little bumpy. So I just wanted to let y'all know that my experience, I didn't use anything, and I kind of feel like, Tonetra, why did you even stress yourself trying to get bags packed when it wasn't necessary? Because I was trying to get him fed. I was trying to make sure that he was okay. We were trying to just do all of his screenings and his shots and everything like that. In between time, you just don't have time. You're asleep or you're breastfeeding. It's just not enough time to be doing all that. So I didn't even put on any makeup. I didn't get any cute like robe pictures because I just didn't have the time for it. And I don't regret it at all. Everything went just the way it was supposed to, and I feel like that's what birth is about, giving birth, and not trying to be at the hospital trying to look cute and worried about other things. Worry about your child and making sure that he's happy and healthy, or she is happy and healthy, and leave all of this stuff at home because you probably won't need it. So that's just what I wanted to tell you guys. We are headed home. It is about, oh, it's 9:30, and yeah, I'm just ready to take my baby home. I feel like he thinks this hospital is home. I'm like, this is not home. Let's go. So I'm so happy. Get some good sleep, put him down, feed him again. Well, I don't know if I'll be getting any sleep, but we'll see. So yeah, we're babe is going to get the car seat and take the stuff down for us, and we're up out of here. This hospital did an amazing job. The staff was amazing. They were patient, they were helpful. They spoiled me, they spoiled Adonis, they spoiled Mike. It was just a really great experience, and I am so thankful for all the staff that really helped me out. So yeah, there's nothing else I can say. It was great. So yeah, what you like? Okay.
Well, she's gonna take this elevator, baby. It's gonna be a nice, it's gonna be a weird little film.
Number one.
Just chilling.
He's chilling. Ooh, what is that?
Call the elevator drop.
Where's my baby at? Hey, what you doing? Alright, so we are headed home. Baby's in the car. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Take care. Is that it? I'm sorry. So you think he'll be okay, or should I? Yeah, that was the story behind it all. It was just, I just feel like it could have been prevented. Like, I feel like it could have been prevented if the doctor would have just listened to me and had some compassion for the pain that I was going through, that I wouldn't have even had to get a C-section or go through all of that. I basically feel like I had Adonis naturally 5 times over again because of how long I was laboring and the pain that I was in. Like, some people only labor for like 2 hours. I was laboring for literally 28 hours. I counted the time. It was 28 hours straight. That took a toll on my body, and it was just a lot. But I probably won't get another, well, I'm not gonna say I won't get a male doctor, but I think it had a lot to do with the doctor being a male, and he hasn't gone through having a child, so he didn't really know what I was going through. And maybe he thought I was just playing, or maybe I just take pain well, that it looked like I wasn't in pain. But it's all over and done with. Adonis is here, and he is happy, and he is healthy, and we are happy and healthy, and that's all that I could ask for. Everything happens for a reason. I have no idea why this would go this way. I never expected my first pregnancy to be this traumatic, or this dramatic, or this just exhausting. But everybody's experience is different, and I will say that this little pregnancy experience was pretty rough for my first pregnancy, but it is what it is. And I thought that I would share the backstory with you guys, because the first video that I posted didn't really give you the full explanation of what was going on, so I just wanted to come on here and explain what happened. But yeah, that is it for this video. If you stuck in there, let me know down in the comments below. If you stuck in there, put some blue hearts down in the comments so that I know you watched this full video. This was kind of like a rant, I will say. I mean, I told my whole family, I ranted to them already, but I just wanted to rant some more. So that was my experience, and yeah, just keeping it real and raw with you. If you like these type of videos, make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know your favorite place to be. If you love motherhood, locks, and lifestyle videos, leave me a big thumbs up, and yeah, subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, Royals.